All diets die. It's literally right in the name. What's going on, guys? Carlo Macapinlac here from newbiefitnessacademy.com, and in this video, I'm going to show you the top 5 reasons why you're not losing weight with your current diet and what you need to do instead in order to finally achieve your weight loss goals. If you're new to the channel, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video every week. Okay, the first problem with dieting is that it makes you hungry. And being hungry sucks. Like, raise your hand if you've ever felt hungry on your current diet. And you get hungry because your current diet probably just relies heavily on cutting calories in order to achieve any sort of weight loss. And it works at the beginning. Like, any calorie restriction diet will work at the beginning. But then homeostasis kicks in, your body adapts by slowing down your metabolism, which causes the dreaded weight loss plateau, and you can really only restrict calories for so long. And this can be classified as a form of semi-starvation. And it's built around the energy balance theory, also known as the calories in versus calories out weight loss model. And we're gonna dive into that in a second here. Now, a few major problems come up when you're always hungry. First is that the compliance rate goes down, like way down. This is why you should never just rely on sheer willpower alone if you're just cutting calories, because your willpower runs out. Like, even the most disciplined people can only hold off hunger for so long. You're literally fighting against your hormones. You're fighting against your physiology, and your physiology will always win. Then it's gonna lead to binging, you're gonna feel like a failure. Next thing you know, you're completely off track. Sound familiar? The second problem that comes up is the type of cravings you experience when you're hungry. When you're semi-starved, and this is a survival instinct through evolution, your body is gonna look for the easiest and fastest food to break down that will provide instant energy to your starving body. And what's the easiest and fastest type of food to break down? Sugar. This is why if you've ever gone on a diet, you're just cutting calories, which probably means that your favorite treat or your caloric kryptonite is off the table, it makes you crave it even more. Not only that, you're just craving the worst kinds of foods. And it's usually something sugary, like a granola bar, protein bar, cookies, candy, and even things that you don't normally crave because your hormones are completely out of whack. Again, this isn't even about willpower. Your body sends really powerful hunger signals through the hormone ghrelin that you need to look for a quick hit of fuel, which leads me to my second point. You're not eating real food, you're eating what I like to call frankenfoods. We've come a long way in terms of engineering and technology as human beings, and one of the things that's become a byproduct of this evolution in engineering are the types of foods that we eat. And a lot of us aren't eating real foods anymore. We're eating food-like products. So again, if your current diet just involves cutting calories, and when you're grocery shopping, we tend to look for low-calorie and low-fat versions of foods. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, by the way. Like, food manufacturers spend millions of dollars in marketing to make this stuff appealing to us, to make everyone believe that if you just eat this low-calorie and low-fat version of this food, you're gonna lose weight. So everyone goes out and buys skim milk instead of whole milk. And it hurts me every time I hear somebody order a skinny vanilla latte every time I'm at Starbucks. And I love using skim milk as an example for this because it's gross. Like, next time you're at the grocery store, because I don't have skim milk here, compare skim milk versus regular milk. You're gonna see that the skim milk, yes, it has lower calories because it's low in fat. But if you look at the sugar content, it's usually higher. And sugar is extremely fattening. Everyone knows that. And now you're drinking that's gone through an extra level of processing. And I always like to say that there are no bad foods, only processed ones. The more processing your food goes through, the worse it is for you. The other thing about milk is that we are the only species on the planet that drinks milk from another animal. It's kind of weird if you think about it. And really, the biggest reason why we do this is that milk contains calcium. Well, if that's your only reason, you can get calcium from better sources like nuts and green leafy vegetables. And my last point about milk is this, and it's very important, especially if you're an adult who still drinks milk or chocolate milk. Think about it this way. A cow's milk is designed to grow a 90-pound baby calf to a fully grown 1,500-pound cow in 15 months. You would be completely naive to think that that's not gonna have some sort of effect in your body. We also give this stuff to our kids, and childhood obesity is at an all-time high. Are you starting to see the connection here? Going back to fake foods, we eat a lot of rice chips, we eat margarine instead of butter, we eat low-fat dairy, like we eat low-fat sour cream, low-fat cheese, low-fat ice cream, low fat and low calorie everything, which all tastes like cardboard. Because again, to make any food low calorie, it's usually fat that gets taken out because it's the most calorically dense. But food manufacturers have to replace fat with something else to make it taste good. and that something else is sugar. And it won't say sugar blatantly on the food label, and they're really good at hiding this. I mean, there are at least 61 different names for sugar, for crying out loud. And that's another thing that I want to point out, because making the proper food choices is what's really going to get you results at the end of the day. Here's a good rule. If your food comes in some sort of a packaging and it has a nutritional facts label sticker attached to it with who knows how many ingredients are in it, you might want to think twice about eating it. For example, a protein bar, and I don't really know when this became the norm that we should be eating this stuff every day, but it's no good for you. Like, if you look at the back of it, it's got ingredients that you and I can't even pronounce. And this also includes natural protein bars. You're basically eating a glorified Snickers bar with some protein attached to it. And if you want to lose weight, you probably shouldn't be eating a Snickers bar every day. But again, it gets a health halo. It leads to overconsumption because we think it's good for us. Now, think about a piece of steak, for example. There's only one ingredient. There's no food label on it. It's just that, a piece of steak. Same thing with vegetables. If you buy a big thing of cauliflower, it's just that, cauliflower. You're eating real food. Now, I have to mention this quickly because going plant-based has gained a lot of popularity these days with documentaries like What the Health and Game Changers, which, by the way, none of those health claims in those documentaries are based on good science. And they're extremely biased. They're just based on epidemiological studies, which can only prove correlation and not causation. And you should look it up for yourself if you disagree with me on this. But people watch a documentary like that and they take it as the truth. So they try going vegan. And I'm gonna use Beyond Meat as an example here because it's the most mainstream vegan food out there. So Beyond Meat comes in a packaging with a nutritional label on it. So that right away should raise some flags. But then you look at the ingredients and I can't even pronounce some of those words. So how could you possibly think that that's good for you versus eating a piece of steak? And this is why I always just say that you should revolve your diet around real food. Revolve your diet around plants and animals, because that's how we evolved as human beings. You should be focusing on eating single ingredient, mostly in processed, nutrient-dense foods. Don't eat fake foods. Again, the more processing your food goes through, the worse it is for you. Because again, processed foods, which are usually high in sugar, are the most insulinogenic types of foods, which means that they're highly insulin stimulating, and insulin is your storing hormone. And we're gonna talk more about hormones in a second here. Long story short, processed foods like low calorie and low fat foods are extremely fattening, which leads me to my third point. You're not eating enough fat. So fat has kind of gotten a bad rap since the whole calorie counting concept came about, because out of all three macronutrients, it's the most calorically dense. Like 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, while 1 gram of carbs and protein only contains 4. So common sense suggests that if you're cutting calories and you want to lose weight, just cut the fat, which ties back to the last mistake, and that's when you gravitate towards highly processed, low fat and low calorie frankenfoods. Like, I remember being told as a kid to cut the fat from my steak or not eat the chicken skin, even though it was the best and tastiest part. But if you completely disregard its calorie content, fat actually delivers 4 times the amount of energy compared to carbs and protein when it gets metabolized. And ketones specifically, so those are the energy units when fat gets broken down, is a cleaner burning fuel compared to carbs and sugar, for example, which leaves free radicals and leads to oxidative damage. Your body gets inflamed, and inflammation is the root cause of a lot of nasty diseases out there, like cancer, arthritis, diabetes, autoimmune, and cardiovascular disease. What I'm trying to say here is that fat isn't bad for you, especially if it's coming from good sources. Fat doesn't make you fat. If anything, if you're not eating enough fat, you're probably fat. Like, a lot of native tribes out there who still live a hunter-gatherer life are perfect examples of this, like the Maasai tribe from Africa or the Inuits in Canada, for example. But let's use the Inuits because I'm from Canada. Their diets consists mostly of animals because plants aren't really readily available in northern Canada. So they mostly hunt fish, seals, and caribou. And when they catch these animals, what they do is they'll actually eat the fattiest parts of the animal and organ meat because they're the most calorically and nutrient-dense part of the animals. And then they'll feed the lean cuts of meats to their dogs. And they don't suffer from modern Western diseases like obesity, diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. They only start getting it when they start eating a modern Western diet. Go figure. And there are studies out there as well that when people just ate lean cuts of meat, they suffer from something called rabbit starvation because they're not getting enough fat in their bodies. And there's a highly respected doctor in the nutrition industry, and I always forget the name, so I'm sorry. But he or she said that it's only a complete meal if fat is present. And another crucial role that fat brings to the table is that it triggers your satiety hormone called CCK, or cholecystokinin. So fat, along with protein, helps keep you full longer so you don't have to gravitate towards eating frankenfoods in between meals. And I always love making these comparisons. What do you think is more satiating? Bacon and eggs with some avocado, or toast with some jam, breakfast cereal, or instant oatmeal? The former has lots of healthy fats and protein, which again triggers your satiety hormones, while the latter is a sugar-laden meal, which will cause a massive spike in your blood glucose levels, which then your body deals with by sending a signal to your pancreas to start producing insulin, which again is your storing hormone, which puts your body in fat storage mode. This, by the way, is why poverty is directly tied to obesity in the US and really all over the world. Because think about it this way. If you're feeding a family of 4, what do you think is cheaper to buy? A box of pasta or a piece of steak? So it's kind of a sad reality when it comes to the food system in the US, because grain producing companies receive huge subsidies from the government. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole that we don't have to get into. The point that I want you to take away here is that fat doesn't make you fat, even though it's calorically dense. Which leads me to mistake number 4, which is kind of the root point of the first 3 mistakes. Your current diet involves just strictly counting calories. Listen, there are many reasons why this is such a huge problem, but this is what a lot of macro coaches out there sell. This is the if it fits your macros model. The first problem of just strictly counting calories and fitting everything on your calorie counting app is that it leads you to start gravitating towards these low calorie and low fat frankenfoods that are again usually loaded in sugar, which makes them extremely insulinogenic. It makes them extremely fattening, and high insulin blocks lipolysis, which is fat burning. And the second problem again is it shifts you away from eating highly satiating foods like fats and protein, especially fat, because fat is calorically dense. You're scared of the calories. And this whole concept really all started back in 1980 when the USDA released the first dietary guidelines for Americans, telling everyone to eat 6 to 11 servings from the bread, rice, pasta, and cereal group, which are 6 to 11 servings too many in my opinion. But that's the base of it. The base of this pyramid are highly insulin stimulating and fat promoting types of food, which are not satiating at all, which causes you to overeat, while the top of the pyramid is where you can find fat. So we're told to cut calories and follow a high carb, low fat diet, which coincidentally is also at the same time when the whole obesity epidemic started. Go figure. So we have been following this advice for 4 decades now, and it hasn't really worked. In fact, it's been proven to have a 99% failure rate, because the calories in versus calories out model's biggest flaw is that it treats all calories equal. But you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that 100 calories of cauliflower isn't gonna have the same fattening effects as 100 calories of cookies. Not all foods are created equal. Your body has a physiological response through the release of specific hormones, and the main one being insulin, because again, it's the hormone that controls your body weight. It's the hormone that tells your body to store fat or to burn it, and it's directly influenced by the foods that you eat or that you don't eat. And your body is an absolute miracle in itself. It's a sophisticated and complicated system controlled by hormones and other things. It's not just a simple mathematical equation. So if your goal is fat loss, and I'm assuming it is, which is why you're watching this video, what you want to do is you want to focus on a diet that moderates your insulin levels, because it's really the only diet that will allow you to tap into your fat burning mechanism. So I'm talking about a high fat, low carb, and moderate protein diet. The complete opposite of the standard American diet, or SAD for short. Because again, out of all 3 macronutrients, carbs, especially refined carbs and sugars, so a lot of those frankenfoods that I just mentioned, spike the hormone insulin the most. While fat, especially pure fat, doesn't stimulate insulin. Protein also stimulates insulin levels, but you're kind of protected because it also stimulates your satiety hormone, peptide YY. Like if you've ever been to an all-you-can-eat Brazilian barbecue place, you get to a point where you literally can't eat anymore. You get the meat sweats. But a funny thing happens when you're presented with dessert. All of a sudden, you have space for it. This is the second stomach phenomenon, by the way. So again, a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet is gonna help keep you full longer because it activates your satiety hormones. It's gonna allow you to keep your insulin levels moderated, which will allow you to start burning body fat for energy. So as you can see, it's really not about cutting calories, it's about optimizing your hormones. Number 5, the biggest reasons why all diets fail is in the name itself. All diets die. What I mean by this is don't think of your weight loss journey as something that you only do temporarily. And this, by the way, is why people fall in love with quick fixes or fad diets or really anything that promises instant results. And this is what gets people to go on juice cleanses, by the way. Then they just go back to their old habits afterwards. It doesn't work like that. All you did was waste money on that juice cleanse. You might as well just let your money on fire. Instead, I want you to think of your weight loss journey as a complete lifestyle change. You're in it for the long term. And this is why I want you to ditch counting calories completely. Like, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome. That is the definition of insanity. Instead, I want you to just focus on eating real foods. Again, think single ingredient, mostly unprocessed, nutrient-dense foods. Revolve your foods around a high-fat, moderate protein, and low-carb diet and eat it to satiety. And then follow this one simple rule. Eat when you're hungry. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Scheduled meals are completely made up anyway. Listen, if you just do the things that I just mentioned, and it's so simple, I promise you, you're gonna lose weight. Guys, I really hope you got a lot of value from this video, and if you want a proven plan on how to put this all together, then keep watching. The next question then becomes, how are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because here's the thing, 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. You can't just freestyle this part. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I melted all the fat around my stomach without depriving myself of my favorite foods or wasting hours at the gym. It's a simple 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals, and it's the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my private coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. All right, that's all I've got. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week. And hey, leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. First, a high five.